Okay, so to start things off, I just wanted to begin with functions and equations. Now, there won't be any review because if you wanted to review, you could just go back to the other grade 11, which might still be updated, by the way. Um, you could go back to the grade 11 functions and equations videos. But yeah, and you can just look at the thumbnails too because they'll have graphs if they're a function video. Some of them, the titles are not clear. But anyways, uh, what I wanted to go over was adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing functions, and just what that would look like when you're actually writing it out. Whoops, let's just make a new page then. Okay, so let's say we have two functions, f of x and g of x. Now, these can be, you can perform all sorts of operations on these two functions, but let's say we do f minus g of x. So this is basically equal to f of x minus g of x. It's the same thing, but usually people will write it like this, and that's how I'll be writing it, so just so that you know. And similarly, when you multiply f times g, right, of x equals f of x times g of x, and then we also have f divided by g of x equals f of x divided by g of x, and so on with the addition. So f plus g of x equals f of x plus g of x, like so. Okay, so it makes sense, right? You just, instead of writing it all out, you're just pulling out the x, kind of, you can imagine. But let's do an example just to make sure, because it's important that we know this. So we're going to do one for adding and subtracting and one for multiplying and dividing. So let's say f of x equals x squared, and let's say g of x equals x cubed. Okay. And we wanted g divided by f of x. Okay? So what would we do here? Well, we would take g of x, which is x cubed, right? And then we would divide it by x squared, right? So then we get our function is just x. So now let's do adding and subtracting. Okay, well, maybe we have f of x equals x, and g of x equals x squared. And we wanted to add these together. So we had f plus g of x equals, well, x, right? We're going to take x, which is f, and then we're going to add x squared. And there's no way to simplify that, so that's our function. So that's just performing different functions on just subtracting, multiplying, dividing, adding different functions together. This can also happen to more than two functions, so it could be 5 functions, 10 functions, any amount. But yeah, and something that you guys also need to know is that it is possible to just say, for example, if we wanted to combine f and g of x, we could just say f plus g of x equals like z of x or something like that, some other function. And then we would just use z of x later on, instead of having to write f plus g of x. But that's just the notation behind it, so just so that you guys know what I'm doing. And just for videos I might do in the future. Overall, that concludes this video. Thank you.